Hello and welcome back to the Grapple Theory podcast. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Now, this week we're heading off to Scandinavia. It's been a little while since we've been there. Last time we were there was all the way back for Bodyslam Wrestling. That was only a few months after we started, but we're going back there now to talk to a star who's had a really breakout year in wrestling. She's really sort of broken out of the Scandinavian scene into the UK scene, into the European scene as well. She recently won the wXw Women's Championship. She's had an incredible year. We're going to talk to her all about that, about her career, about her rise, about this year, about the Scandinavian scene, and loads more. So you're in for a real treat today. Delighted to welcome to the podcast Aliss Ink. Aliss, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's a pleasure to have you here. Talk to me about the last sort of 12 months that you've had, because it seems like this is sort of, like I mentioned, been a really breakout year for you. It seems like this is the year that you've sort of broken out of the local ScandiGraps scene and made yourself a name sort of across the continent.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say because for me, it kind of started after the pandemic, or at the end of the pandemic, with obviously the ScandiGrap tournament in Bodyslam. That kind of introduced me to a wider audience. Bodyslam, with its connections down Europe and in the UK as well.
Yeah.
That introduced me to different audiences and to different promotions, and it's been a roller coaster since. It's been a lot of firsts this year for me.
Yeah, which is cool, right? Which is awesome that you're seem to be getting those moments now, and that must be really cool as well to be part of while you're living it.
Absolutely. I did not see this coming when I started with wrestling. This was not even in the ballpark then. It's kind of like, okay, this is a fun thing to do in the Scandinavian scene. Oh, actually, I get around Scandinavia. That's brilliant. And then it just keeps adding on, and it's amazing to be part of. And I'm so happy to have the chance.
Is it tough to, do you get those moments where you can sort of take it all in and sort of see how far you've come? Or is it a bit of a whirlwind when you're in that moment?
It's a bit of both. I'd say it's more of a whirlwind at the moment, obviously. But yes, sometimes now and then when I have a weekend off and I'm not traveling, because it hasn't not been a lot of those, it's like, oh, actually, I have a belt on the wall there, and that is a pretty cool thing to have. And it's like, oh, I actually been to these places. I met these amazing people, and all of that together. It's my way of thinking about life has never been about the end goal as much as the travel. And so far, the travel in wrestling has been amazing.
Yeah, and you mentioned sort of weekends off, rare weekends off, but that's good, right? It's great that you have just rare weekends, because that means you're booked, that means you're going places and doing stuff, right?
It definitely is. I mean, it's a blessing to be able to work that much. Especially since, I mean, in Europe and especially in Scandinavia, it's very rare to have shows in weekdays. So everything is for the weekends, which obviously means that they're going to get booked really, really fast. I know in the UK you have a bit more, it can be other days as well. It doesn't have to be Friday, Saturday, but around here, that's very much, that's when everything's supposed to happen.
Yeah, all leads up to the weekend every week, yeah.
Exactly.
That's fair enough. Yeah, we have a couple of midweek shows over here, but not a lot. I think there's 2 or 3, but they're quite sporadic. Once every couple of months, sort of thing. Yeah. So it's not a huge amount. So, like you say, weekend is the busy time for all wrestlers, is what we found. But
it is. I mean, it means we have to recuperate in the weeks, but we'll see how that goes.
Then you have to work it around exactly, work it around actual work and things like that as well. Just trying to find that downtime whenever you can.
No. Aliss doesn't have a shoot job.
Oh, of course not. No. Just kicking butt 24/7. That is the job.
That's what you need to do. Let's kick butts. That's it.
Love it. Well, we're going to sort of talk about the year that you've had. We'll talk about Bodyslam in a little bit. But obviously, I think we've got to start with wXw, right? And everything that you've had going on there at the minute. I mean, first of all, obviously, at the time of this recording, you're champion. I mean, how does that feel to say? Because wXw is one of the biggest promotions in Europe. How does it feel to be sort of top of that pile?
That is one of the things that hasn't exactly landed yet for me. It's crazy to think about, to be honest. wXw has always been one of those. That's been the promotion when you look at Europe. Okay, I should go there at some point in my career, and I'll be quite happy. and obviously getting the chance to be a part of the tournament that they had, the Femme Fatale. I was like, wow, I'm actually going to be a part of this. Did not see the end result coming out the way it did. Obviously, I'm super happy about both winning the tournament and then also the championship the day after. I would not have seen that a million miles away. I'm so grateful for the chance to be a part of this. So it's gonna be a fun ride, and I'm really looking forward to the next day.
I was going to say that must be like fun, looking forward to what's to come. But I mean, you mentioned the tournament there, and again, like in that moment when you're not only coming up against but also like beating the likes of like Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich, like how does that feel? Like how do you like mentally deal with that? Like, oh my god, like these are big names, and like wXw have put their faith in you to be like the one to beat them and to then win the belt, and like that must just be a really rewarding feeling.
Absolutely. I mean, I did not believe it when I heard it. Part of me was going, no, this is just a rib. It has to be a rib. This is probably this is not happening. I was basically convinced until I actually was there, and it did happen. No, but it's amazing working with these women. I was super stressed that day. It was a lot, I can tell you that much. Looking back at it might be quite a few things I would have liked to have done differently, but honestly, they've been absolutely brilliant in wXw. I have nothing but good things to say. They're all amazing. And obviously, I mean, getting this chance on that platform is, I couldn't ask for anything else.
Yeah, for sure. And someone who, as someone who, even like relatively speaking, is still sort of quite fresh into your career, quite young into your career, only a few years, like coming up against like those bigger names or those names who have been in the business longer, even as part of that tournament or being around them, it must just also be, as well as being rewarding for having won it, like it must just be a really nice learning curve as well, learning these new things and talking to wrestlers who have had that experience.
I mean, I would have been over the moon just to get there and spend some time in the locker room with these people. So, yes. And that was kind of what I was looking forward to. I mean, that part, okay, I'm actually going to get to meet these people that I've been following and looking up to in the business. And then obviously working with them is like, that's just next level. That does not happen. I mean, it's not a lot of people from my part of the world that actually gets out in Europe in this fashion, and obviously to be able to make a bang with that is
I was going to say, do you feel like, because you mentioned there, like obviously it has been historically tough for Scandinavian wrestlers to like break out into the European scene. Do you feel like you're like representing Scandinavia when you're out there in terms of what you're doing and how you're performing and winning belts? Do you feel like you're doing it like for that scene as well?
I do actually, yeah, definitely. Because I mean, there isn't a lot of us. There's not a lot of wrestlers in Scandinavia or in the Nordics, but there's so much potential and so many people that I would like to see get similar chances and similar breaks that I've now maybe hopefully got. So yeah, I do feel like I'm. I mean, a little bit of like a trailblazing thing going on. I would like to be able to just be on the forefront for like the Scandi Nordic revolution in wrestling. That would be awesome.
For sure, we'd love to see that. And you're doing amazing work. So hopefully that is to come. Like hopefully you can be part of that, and that would be great. And take me back to again just winning the belt. Like I know you said it hasn't sort of like fully processed with you yet, but do you remember anything about like your emotions or how you felt like when the bell rings, when that 3 count is hit and you're the champion? Like how did you feel in that moment?
I mean, yeah. I think when the 3 count actually came, because it was a short, quite a short boot. This one managed to finish it quite quickly with a head kick. So it's just like, oh, this actually did happen. This is actually me now raising my hand and like this is going on. But I don't think I actually completely got it until like I'm walking backstage. And people are obviously new champion welcoming with like applause and stuff. So I'm like, Holy shit! Okay. They're actually here and they're cheering for this, and it's I have the support of the backstage, and that's obviously an amazing feeling.
For sure.
So I think everything up to that point was kind of like, okay, going so much going on in the head at that stage, because it's such a huge stage. I mean, even if the venue is similar size to other places I've been to in this case, to know the reach that wXw have, and just how cemented they are in wrestling in Europe. So it was a lot, but just like walking backstage and then with the belts, like, oh, okay, now it's for real.
Now you got to do the hard work. Right now, the hard work starts, having to defend the belt and like be that symbol.
I'm so looking forward to that, and I'm gonna give it my all.
Absolutely, yeah. We can't wait to see what you come up with. That's gonna be brilliant. It's gonna be brilliant. And I mean, like you again, you've wrestled in tournaments before. Like you said, you wrestled in the Bodyslam Invitational as well. But like tournaments like that, where it's over like a weekend and you got a few matches going on over like a couple of days. Is it like adrenaline that keeps you going through that, or like what is it? How do you keep going, like sort of match after match? Because I imagine by the end, mentally, you're just a bit exhausted.
Oh, definitely. Especially this one now in wXw. I basically went to the hotel room and crashed. I'd also been up crazy early to catch my flights, like basically in the middle of the night. So it had been a long day up until that point. But also like the Bodyslam, the ScandiGraps tournament is it is doing 3 matches as that was as well in one day. It's quite tough. I mean, you do feel it, obviously.
Yeah.
So, and in the ScandiGraps tournament, were quite long matches as well, all of them. So that's
a little tougher. It's a little tougher to get through.
I mean, that's also, but adrenaline helps a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a drug, I have to say.
Absolutely it is. And let's talk about Bodyslam as well, because obviously you don't just have one belt at the minute, you've got 2 belts at the minute. I mean, like
3 actually.
Oh, 3? Is it 3? Is it 3?
At the moment. I also have the Stockholm City
champion. Okay. Oh, well, there you go.
But never defended it though.
Okay. Okay, that's even more. That's even more luggage to carry around.
I don't. Yeah, exactly. It's more of a mental luggage to like represent all of these people putting the trust in you. To be honest, that's the real weight. I'm happy to carry that.
Well, I was going to say we talk about Bodyslam, and we had Christian from Bodyslam on sort of quite early in our like podcasting days, talking about the ScandiGraps scene, and he highlighted himself as one of our ones to watch for people that didn't know the scene, and I mean he was clearly right, because you've had an incredible year, but again, like another company that again seemed to have put like so much faith in you to be like at the top of that pile for them. And again, that must be really rewarding as well, considering, again, it's more like, I know it's not your home country, but like more like native to Scandinavia. It must mean a little more than, not a little more than wXw, but you know what I mean? It must mean that extra bit more, because sort of they put their faith in you from the beginning, sort of thing.
Oh, definitely. They really did. And like I said, that kind of what started everything off especially after the pandemic years, when things had not been going on as much. Them putting the trust in me at that point, that meant the world. And Bodyslam is, it's not my home country, but it kind of feels like my home promotion in a way. I mean, I obviously have close bonds with several places in Scandinavia, but yeah, I'd say maybe my absolute favorite place to work for a lot of reasons, but also for the people and for all they've done for me throughout this. To be honest, they pushed me in ways I did not expect, and that's obviously led to other things further down the line for me. So, and the audience, honestly, the Copenhagen audience is absolutely mental. I love them. So,
I was going to say, how does it compare?
Swedes seeing this now is going to be a little bit pissed off, but I can deal with that. They're also great.
Well, I was going to say, how does it compare? Because again, Christian told us that like the scene is very different over there because sort of as a UK podcast, we see a lot of like UK wrestlers going over to places like Bodyslam and Wrestling. Obviously, you faced Emerson Jane, and that's how you won the title. And like over here, Emerson Jane is huge, but he said obviously, you know, at places like Bodyslam, it's the case where they're not as well known, and like you guys are the main event and the main attraction, and the ones that are like really backed heavily in those matches. So is the crowd like different to say, not in terms of just the reactions that you get, but from what you've seen, like from the UK or from Germany, like how does the crowd differ? Because, you know, it's not a huge distance between those places, say compared if you like travel across America sort of things. So how does the like crowd compare country to country?
I'd say just in general in Scandinavia, definitely in Denmark, also in Sweden. I've not been to Norway yet, but hopefully one day. No, but the crowds are they're usually not wrestling fans in the way you think about people growing up watching wrestling on TV as much. I mean, in Sweden, it wasn't even shown on TV unless you had very specific cable channels and watched in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
it was not readily available for people. So, I mean, including me, I have not grown up with wrestling. And so the live audiences, a lot of them are kind of the same. They found this through whatever ways, walking past a poster, or finding an event online, or a friend saying, "Oh, you should come see this." But they're there more for the fun part of it. They're there to drink and have a laugh and scream at people and be upset about the wrong people winning and cheer for the good guys. And they live wrestling. When in that little bubble, it's kind of like they immerse themselves in the story in a different way.
Yeah.
I think people, for example, in the UK, a lot of people have grown up with wrestling. They consume so much of wrestling for such a long period of time. They look at it through different eyes. Maybe a little bit more like a wrestler would look at wrestling, and more of an analytic take on it. But it also maybe makes it a little bit harder to actually immerse yourself in the story and be a part of what's going on. But I really feel like the Scandinavian audience, they're very fun to wrestle in front of because of this, because you know they're going to be there.
Yeah, they're there for the party. They're there to have a good time and just like go crazy
exactly. a bit. Sometimes we get quite spoiled. Sometimes, to be honest, trying to do a headlock takedown and people go nuts. It's like, you should not be popping for this, dude.
If you're going crazy for that, wait till I got later. Like
exactly. It's like, come on, you can't give me this now. I mean, I wanna do better.
Brilliant. I love that. And you mentioned, I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent here because you mentioned like not growing up with wrestling. Because I remember, correct me like if I'm wrong here, but I've heard from a couple of people that I've spoken to that like you sort of fell into wrestling a bit by accident. Like that wasn't really the plan to be a wrestler.
Oh God, no.
So obviously you've got your MMA background. So how did like you sort of transition from that into wrestling? How did it all come about if it wasn't planned?
I mean, it's I've told this story a few times before, so you might have heard it, but I'm going to tell it anyway because I like it.
Well, that's the thing. I only heard it from other fans, so I wanted to clarify with you that was the case.
Brilliant. Yes. No, but I did actually go to a couple live shows in Stockholm with a friend that I trained martial arts with at the time, and she kind of fell out of martial arts a little bit. So we kind of lost contact. Then she messaged me basically out of the blue, and asked, "Do you wanna try wrestling with me?" I was like, "Okay, yeah, it sounds fun. I can do that for like an afternoon." So in my mind, this is something you just you go there, you try it out, one of those event kind of things. But it sounded fun. And then obviously I broke my toe just a few days before. When I kicked it into an elbow and it went the wrong way, pulled it back. So I actually came into this the wrestling place for like I had to cut a hole in my shoe to be able to wear shoes there.
So your toe was free.
Okay, I'm gonna do this. Not the best of circumstances, but it's gonna be fine. I mean, what can go wrong?
Yeah.
So walk in there and I was signed this this lease forms that injuries and stuff. That's our own problems basically. We get up in the ring, we collect everyone on the stairs, and the trainer goes, "Right, I hope you're ready. This is going to be about a 5-hour tryout. And I goes, what? Did I hear that correctly? So, but it turned out to be, I mean, some of the most fun I've ever had in my life doing this.
Yeah.
And I just love it first bump.
Basically. I was going to say, did you catch the bug sort of instantly? Was it like first session, we're like, yes, this is for me?
I mean, that's the thing. I had so much fun with every aspect of it. Even we did some character work at the end of this tryout as well, which I didn't think was my thing, but it was, everything was just so fun.
I was going to say, like, because MMA, obviously wrestling, like, you have that athletic background, you have that athletic ability already. The character work is the interesting thing, because obviously, like, in MMA, in boxing, in UFC, I think that, like, there's, obviously it's more real, you know, it's actual fighting. But I think a lot of people sort of don't see that, like, there is still a bit of character work in things like MMA, UFC, you know, trying to psych out opponents, things like that. So did you take to sort of, like, both parts of it, the character work and the in-ring stuff, like, quite naturally? Was it quite easy for you to sort of, like, flow into it?
I mean, parts of it, especially the physical aspects, obviously moving, learning new moves, ring positioning, all of those things come fairly natural. I mean, striking, obviously, if you use the striking correct, I mean, to actually striking people to kill them, and it is a bit of a different technique. You're not allowed to punch the face, right, you know?
Got to take a step back for a minute, be like, okay, how do I do this properly without, like...
I mean, it is some readjustments, but you have a lot of the basics, obviously, and like the movement patterns and, like I said, ring positioning, where your body's going to end up if you do certain stuff. A lot of that came fairly easy compared to other people with different other backgrounds. The character work was harder, to be honest. I did theater quite a bit as a kid.
Okay.
But it's this is so different because you can't portray, you have to be. I'd say parts of it, obviously the Aliss Ink is kind of a straight-faced wrestler, badass, which is easy to work with in some aspects and very hard to work with in others.
Yeah.
So it's been a ride. I think I'm still trying to figure that out, to be honest. I think there's more to see, more to do.
Well, that's great, isn't it? Like, I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like, wrestling and wrestlers should always be, like, evolving and stuff. And like we said before, you're still, like, relatively early in your career. So, like, there's still plenty of development that can be made, or changes, or, like, little, like, maybe, like, heel turns or face turns that could be done in certain places, you know?
No, but exactly. And I feel wrestling is, more than anything I've done before, a trade. Something you have to learn, you have to develop within it. And how it looked at the start, how it looks now, and how it looks further down the line, it's not going to be the same thing. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a straight line. It should be ups and downs, and you should always learn and try to strive to be better.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about, like, the ScandiGraps scene, and again, we spoke to Christian last year, and he spoke about it, and he said it was sort of, like, steadily growing, like it was a slow build, but, like, they were slowly sort of getting more and more people in, more and more crowds. Like, speaking of it now, and that was probably about a year ago that we spoke to him, like, almost dead on. So in that year, do you, as someone who wrestles there a lot, have you seen the scene grow more? Does it feel like it is growing and sort of becoming more of a thing over there?
I definitely think it does. I mean, it's just the number of promotions that everyone still kind of draws full houses. I mean, that says a lot. I know we had a show summer, start of summer, women's show, Bodyslam, and we had another promotion doing another wrestling show, just maybe 10-15 minutes walking distance from there.
Oh wow!
Full houses, the same city, and that's kind of unheard of.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So, but I feel wrestling is it's not a big thing in the Nordics or Scandinavia, but it's definitely growing, and I think the audience we do have is very dedicated.
Yeah.
But it's always like this balance of how much audience do you need, or how much should you cater to what the audience think they want in this, or how much should you teach them to what wrestling is, because they might not have that since they were kids in this case.
No, for sure, for sure. Yeah, like you say, like a balancing act of like, don't tip the scale too much, but give them a little bit, like just enough to keep it interesting.
I mean, that's such a skill
Hmm.
to just to figure out what wrestling should be for every territory, and everyone has their ideas and different. It's fascinating to me. I would not be able to do it. I'm not there yet.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, I'll figure that one out one day as well. Not saying that's my goal in this, but I'm fascinated.
No, for
I mean,
sure.
I'm fascinated with how you build two things.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's like the psychological side is like even more interesting in a lot of ways than the actual physical side of wrestling.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
And it's how do you draw out what you need
Yeah.
for that specific moment, because everything is about moments.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And talk to me about we mentioned before facing Emerson Jane for the Bodyslam title, because again, Emerson's someone who's really big over here in the UK. Loads of experience as well, like years of experience. Like, how was it going up against her? And like, because she's like yourself in a different way, but like yourself, very hard hitting as well. Like, she's pretty brutal to be in the ring with. So how was that contest for you?
I'm gonna be honest. If it were up to me, she should be big everywhere. I absolutely love working with her, and that's she has so much experience, and she carries herself in such a good way, both in the ring and obviously outside as well. But if you talk about the in-ring skills, she's one of the absolutely best people I've ever worked with.
Really,
hands down.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
So I mean, I'm honestly taking over the belt from her in Bodyslam. That was a good call, I think, and obviously a big honor for me as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Emerson is great. She is great. I mean, talk about the UK. Obviously, you've been over here a couple of times. How do you find the experience wrestling over here? We spoke about like crowds and stuff, but in terms of, I mean, like I guess the sort of like the distances between shows and like the different crowds you get at different shows and things like that. Because I know like one place that you're really well loved is somewhere like Wrestle Island, and like you always seem to get a good reaction over there. So like, I mean, how have you found your trips over here, and do you have more planned?
At the moment, I have not, but hopefully, something will happen eventually.
Someone watching this, someone get Alice booked.
The next chance to get over, but obviously with flights and everything as they are now, that might we'll see when the next time is going to be.
Sure.
But I'd say the UK wrestling scene is different in a lot of ways. How just the structure around the shows are different. So that's taken some time getting used to. But I mean, the people are great. I have a lot of good friends in the UK from wrestling, so I'm very happy about that. And the audience as well. It's a little bit of a different type of audience than you find maybe in Scandinavia. It's more like a continental Europe type audience, I'd say. But they're also they do react, and they're there, but maybe not as loud as I'm used to.
I was going to say, if you're used to like that party atmosphere, yeah, if you're used to like the noise just blaring you from all sides, then it's a little different. And like anything's going to be quieter compared to that, right? Like,
basically, yes. Which is, I mean, but it's good as well. It's I think that's something you should think about as a wrestler as well. That you're going to work from different types of audiences, and I mean, one of the most quiet audiences I've ever been to was actually in Belgium. This was the first, I think it was the first wrestling show ever.
Oh wow!
On Belgian ground, Relentless, when they were running.
All right.
And it was so clear that the audience there didn't actually know how to react, and all of the wrestlers backstage were freaking out. It's like, you're not reacting to anything. What do we do? We need to do more of this. We need to do. And even the veterans were a bit like, okay, this is not right. But when you talk to people afterwards, everyone was like super happy. It's just like they're not used to reacting in a vocal way.
Yeah.
Which is obviously the thing you notice most in the ring. So
yeah, tricky.
I mean, that was to me at that point. I was still in my first year. That was scary. So it went okay, and I mean, obviously, but every territory is different. The UK is a lot of fun to work in and work with
Yeah.
But it's always a bit of a culture shock, I think, as well, coming from the more loud and noisy and obviously more drunk Scandinavians.
I was going to say, what about culture shock in terms of like just day-to-day life, like getting to shows, or like what you like eat after a show or before a show? Like, is that a bit different?
Oh, I mean, I'm terribly bad on wrestling days, just in general. When it comes to, I tend to forget about proper food habits and stuff. It's like I'm so focused on, okay, I'm gonna do this now, and I'm so involved in like all the fun and all the interactions with people. It's kind of like, oh, if I get a few protein bars, that's probably a pretty good day for being wrestling.
Sure.
And then obviously I'm super hungry after, so I'm gonna eat everything.
Yeah, like treat yourself after. That's always the best way.
Exactly. I can get a whiskey after as well. I'll be super happy. So.
Nice. Is that your drink of choice?
Yes.
Nice.
Definitely.
Like it like just straight or like with anything?
No, straight.
Nice. Just chill out a bit.
Exactly. Well, I mean, it depends as well. Depends when you're traveling the day after, obviously.
Yeah. Like you say, if you have to be up in the middle of the night to then catch your flight, then it's maybe go a bit different.
Yeah, that's no fun. I've come to terms with flying a lot. I don't mind flying. I just don't like airports.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, airports are the worst. Like, they're terrible, especially at the minute. Like, traveling is just a nightmare at the minute.
Yeah, I know. It's been especially this summer, absolutely terrible. I came a few times to the Stockholm airport and thought, I'm not gonna be able to get out of here. It's so much. There's people everywhere. It's like queues. It's queues from the doors when you step out of the bus, basically into the terminal.
Yeah.
This is not happening.
No fun. But worth it once your place is in wrestling, I imagine. Like, once you get there, you're like, okay, it was worth the hassle. But when you're in the moment, the hassle just doesn't seem worth it.
I mean, it still kind of. I mean, it does feel worth it, to be honest. I mean, I never felt like I should not try. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And but yeah, sometimes it's like, doing this again, like going through these airports, having to get there, and always like the worry of something going wrong. So far, hope that doesn't change now that I say it out loud, but so far I've never had a problem getting to a place, but I have had problems getting home.
Sure. Yeah. So. Fingers crossed, though. Hopefully it won't be that way for much longer. Hopefully it'll be all right.
Is jinxing things a thing in English as well, or is it?
Oh no, no. We're notoriously good at jinxing things, like all the time. Mainly to do with like sport or sporting events. So like things like that are always getting jinxed. So you're fine there. Like that's a very common thing over here.
All right, good to know.
So
hopefully it's not a thing in this conversation.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. But talk to me about like sort of what you, I guess, want to achieve. Say, we're at the end of 2022 now, going into 2023. Are there any other places you'd like to wrestle, or people you'd like to face, be that in the UK or in Germany or in Sweden and Denmark? Like, are there any other names that you haven't faced yet that you'd like? Yeah, I'd like to kick their ass.
I'd like to kick everybody's ass. So it's.
Of course, obviously, yeah.
No, but I mean, it's. I have a lot of like things I would like to do in wrestling, and when it comes to traveling, I would love, for example, to go to Japan at some point. That's kind of. It feels like it's something you should do if you do this long enough. You should try to get to Japan at some point.
For sure.
So hopefully that's going to happen at some point. I'm looking forward to obviously working more storylines within Europe as well. I mean, it's fun getting these one-off bookings, especially when you get to work with great people, which very happy with the bookings I tend to get. I tend to learn quite a lot from them. I get to work with good people that's been doing this for a long time, so I'm very happy about that. But obviously, working more long-term, like now wXw, for example, I mean, now I have the belt, they have to bring me back, right? That's how it works.
Yeah, they have to bring you back, and they have to give you the top opponents, right? You have to be facing the best.
There you go. So, I mean, obviously, more long-term bookings where you can work with several people within the promotion, and that's obviously the goal in this. We'll see what the future holds. But I mean, obviously, US would be interesting at some point. That's obviously quite a long travel. So if that's going to be possible, not we'll see. But
Yeah.
that would be cool to do. I would love to get back to the UK. I would also like to see more places in Europe, because there is a big indie wrestling scene that you don't actually see that much from.
Yeah, for sure. I know there's like a lot of promotions in like sort of Eastern Europe that like are a bit underground. Like you don't hear a lot about them. But like from what I hear about like shows themselves, they seem to like really go off and be really popular. You just don't hear a lot about them over here.
Exactly. So it's always interesting to see what different places have. And I mean, I've heard as well, like Korea, for example, starting to get a wrestling scene as well. It's like, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what the next big place is going to be?
Well, plenty of opportunities, and we can't wait to see.
And it's so many good people as well to work with.
Yeah.
I mean, all over the world, I'd say.
Yeah.
So obviously, I have some dream opponents, but we'll see what happens. It's
Well, we'll get into one of those questions in a little bit, because we've got a little fun feature that we're getting onto in a little bit. That's one of the questions for. So you'll have to prepare an answer for that. We always close the podcast with getting to know a little more about you. So this is not about Aliss Ink anymore. This is a shoot. This is about you. So I'm going to pop you some questions, and you let me know what comes to mind.
All right.
So the first one goes a little bit back to what we were talking about earlier, because it's my favourite pre-show meal.
Ooh, I'd say if I actually take the time to get a meal, it would be sushi.
Nice. Something like quite light, but also gives you that energy, that like protein boost as well. Nice. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, it's the next one is my favourite post-pinfall pig out.
Oh, okay. I love the expression. That's absolutely brilliant.
Thanks.
I'd say if I really want to splurge, I'd definitely go for like a huge bowl of ice cream.
Nice.
That would be my thing.
What flavour?
Oh, saffron is a favorite.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I've never had saffron ice cream.
It's a very Swedish thing.
It sounds really good. I love saffron in just food generally, but like I've never had it in ice cream. That sounds really cool.
It's absolutely brilliant.
I have
caramel is also obviously really good. But yeah.
That's weird. I have a Swedish friend, and she's never mentioned saffron ice cream to me.
I think it depends on which part of Sweden you're from.
Yeah, maybe. She's mentioned, what is it? There's an odd pizza topping that we don't get over here that you do in Sweden that's like quite popular, she says, but I can't remember what it is.
Oh, is it like kebab topping? Because that's a thing.
No, we get that over here as well in kebab shops. We get that as well. Okay. It's like, that's the pizza you take one bite of and you're like, right, that's enough. Like, this is going to kill me if I eat the whole slice.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it is. I'll let you know. I'll like message you and let you know when I've
is it banana and
yes.
curry?
Yes, it's the banana one. That's weird.
Try that. That's actually quite nice.
So it's banana and like curry powder and stuff, right?
Yes.
That's weird. That's bizarre. I really want to try it. It looks amazing, but I can't comprehend the flavors in my mind.
It's one of those things. It shouldn't work, and I kind of hate myself for liking it, but it does actually taste quite nice.
All right, I'll give it a go. If I'm ever over in Sweden, I'll definitely order it. But brilliant. And the final one, the final food-based one is just your favorite type of food in general.
I'm a huge fan of Indian cuisine.
Nice.
So I do like a spicy vindaloo.
Nice. Oh, you go really spicy.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Nice. Blow your mouth off.
If I cook myself, which I actually do like to do, I have basically chili and everything.
Nice. Really over chili it. All you taste is just pure heat. That's all you need.
Well, it has to have flavors, other flavors as well, obviously. But
you like the burn in the tongue.
Heat is important.
Nice.
I need to get my capsule fix.
Nice. No, that's fair enough. I appreciate that. I respect that. The next one is the song that gets me the most hyped.
Ooh. Okay, that can vary, to be honest. I mean, obviously, I had Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin as walk-up music in a lot of promotions, those that allow it. And that's a reason for that. That is a song that I actually generally do like.
Yeah.
And since I have that association with when I started out wrestling as well, that is a song that still kind of gets like,
yeah, you're like, oh, this is it. And it does have that one, doesn't it?
That's gonna be good.
Yeah, but it does have that like that sort of like that I guess like the bass and like the drum at the beginning, like that like that. That's like that gets you hyped, doesn't it? Like that builds it up.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a lot of. I mean, I grew up with a lot of younger years, actually a lot of Irish music for whatever reason.
Really? Okay.
Big thank you to my dad for that.
Right.
But no, but I mean, as a teenager, and loads of heavy metal. So like all of the classics, Maiden and Megadeth, and all of those. So like listen to everything. Obviously, that type of music gets me hyped.
Yeah, I mean, this is where I was hoping the conversation was going, because that is exactly my sort of music as well. Like, I was raised on like Maiden and Motley Crue and like Def Leppard and Whitesnake and all that sort of stuff. So like that's peak for me as well. Like, you know, something like that comes on, you're like, yes, this is it.
Yeah. I mean, that nowadays with all the streaming and Spotify and so on, I find like my palette for music has expanded so much because of all of these features. Because you can find music that you like in like every sort of genre.
Yeah.
Almost. Some exceptions to the rule. But yes, almost every.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Which is, I think it's so cool to be able to mix and find different things though. But it's still like the things you found when you were at like the right age are still the things that get you going today.
Yeah, they're the ones that stick with you, right? Like the ones that you're sort of like brought up with, like formative years. Those are the ones that always like hit that spot.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Like, all right, now it's party time, basically.
Exactly. Well, that leads us on to the next one, because it's my favourite band of all time.
Ooh, okay. It's also something that has varied quite a bit. I would say one of my absolute favorites bands would be System of a Down.
Nice. Yeah.
That's also very nostalgic for all the right reasons. And amazing songs and good content. So yeah, I'd say that's definitely a hot candidate. Like,
nice.
Yeah. If I'm gonna shoot something on the top of my brain.
No, love it. Great answer. And that leads on to the last music one, because it's the best gig I've ever been to.
I'd reckon Dropkick Murphys, actually.
Really?
Yes, they come to Sweden quite a lot, or did for a while, and that was always a rave.
Really? I mean, like, I know I've heard they're a good live band, but I'd never like consider them to be like, I wouldn't like put them up there as like top live band, but like they were that good.
I think the reason I find that gig so special was not so much for they're really good live. So I'm not gonna take that away from them, but just the feeling in the audience when everyone's just having a party.
Yeah.
It was not. The music was important, but also like just the entire feeling and the atmosphere of being there. Everyone's just jumping around, being super happy and like dancing with anyone, basically.
Yeah, nice. So, I like gigs like that. That's good. That's cool.
That was a fun experience for a lot of reasons. So yeah.
Nice. Love it. The next one is the movie that I'd show the locker room.
Oh. But okay.
So it doesn't necessarily need to be like your favorite movie, but like the movie that you think, if you were going into a locker room, like the movie you think everyone should see.
Kayfabe the movie. To be honest, if you're in the locker room with wrestlers, everyone should have seen that bloody movie.
We've had a few people say that, actually. I think everyone has that. I think, like, again, I'd be surprised if there's like especially a wrestler who's been wrestling a while. I'd be surprised if there's a wrestler who's been wrestling a while that hasn't seen that.
Exactly. And that's how it should be. You should see the movie. If you're anywhere near the indie scene, you should see that. So
yeah, yes. Absolutely. Great choice. The next one is my favourite way to relax.
Ooh. Well, relaxation doesn't necessarily have to be lying on your back, in my opinion. So I'd say doing something that gives joy and gives energy. That is not where you don't have to be finding the word in English for this one. Where you don't have to where you're not judged.
Oh, okay,
yeah. You do it, like just going out dancing, for example. That would be a great way to relax. So just going to a trampoline park and just jumping with the
trampoline parks are great.
Just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
That kind of thing I find extremely relaxing. Also, like a good book. To be honest, I love reading.
Nice. What do you like to read?
My favorite author would be Terry Pratchett.
Yeah.
So a lot of fantasy, and I love just people that have like this little bit of quirky sense of humor.
I was going to say, because like I looked through like again, like in doing research for this, I looked through things like your Instagram and stuff, and like a lot of captions you go for like quotes from like films or like authors and stuff like that, and like that seems to like really hit that note with you.
It does, and I also think for Alice as a gimmick, that's kind of like the sum of a lot of things that I've looked at and like assimilated into this character and also into myself. And I grew up with watching a lot of movies, obviously, and reading a lot of books, and all of this like different things. There's things I go back to when I find when I need to find inspiration.
Yeah.
So there is a reason for that, and I don't pick quotes that I don't think have a reason to be there. They need to mean something both to me and to what I try to portray with a specific post.
For sure. Yeah, I love that. That's brilliant. Like, I think that's really cool. Like the way, like, again, like you say, it's got to mean something to you as well, not just be like relevant to what you're posting. And I think that's really cool.
Exactly.
I like that. The next one's a bit of a throwback because it's my first job.
Oh, my first job or first actual official job? That might be quite different.
Okay, go on. Let's hear both. Let's say what are both?
All right. So my first. Well, I mean, this is so old, so I'm probably not going to get in problem with the taxes for this. But my first cash in hand job was as a waiter.
Right.
Or waitress, and my first actual job was as a phone salesperson.
Oh, okay. Which one did you prefer?
Oh God, you have to ask. No, but I mean, plague, cholera. No, but no, obviously sitting by the phones was not for me. I did it for a very, very short while. It did allow me to get an apartment, so
that's fair enough. That's what you want, isn't it? Like first job, like first couple of jobs. That's what you want, isn't it? You want enough money to be able to like live life a little bit.
Exactly, but I mean, I actually I went on from that to do other things quite quickly. So it's.
I was gonna say
I actually think I learned quite a lot from it.
Yeah.
Learn how to deal with people. That's
actually, yeah. To be fair, that does teach you like a lot of like patience and like restraint with people.
Yes. Well, you have no choice basically, because I would not like to redo that though. Not ever under any circumstances.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair. It sounds like though, from what we've said, like over the course of this chat, that like you've had a fair few jobs though. You've like done quite a lot.
I've actually worked in a lot of different type of jobs. Yeah, it's very true. I've done everything from working as a cold chef to worked as a garbage man.
Okay, yeah, really done everything. Both ends of the food spectrum as well. There.
Well, I mean, it's a few things you can be certain about in life. That's always gonna be a job, basically. Yeah, people are gonna need to eat, right?
Yeah.
People, it's gonna one way or another create crap, so someone needs to take care of it. And then obviously people die. So I haven't been a mortician yet. So
maybe down the line. Maybe down the line. That seems like a post-wrestling kind of job.
Well, I mean, the Undertakers were esteemed.
That's true. Yeah. Actually, that's true. That's true. And you've already got like most of the black from your like gear and stuff. So like you're perfect for it. Really, it's all going one way. It's all going one way. Brilliant. The next one is well, this is an interesting one actually, because obviously you've got your MMA background, but it is if I wasn't a wrestler, I'd be.
Oh, that's a real good question. So if I could be anything, like if I could just turn back time, redo whatever needed to be done to be anything, I think. Obviously, a tattoo artist would be an interesting profession to pursue.
Yeah.
That never timed well for me, but obviously it's a big interest.
Yeah. Oh, really? I would never have guessed.
You didn't know? Oh,
I had no idea.
I try to keep it secret.
Yeah. But. Yeah. No, you like I would never have known at all.
I
No.
mean, I'm just born like this, right?
Yeah. Just came out all tatted up, perfect. In that dress you were talking about as well.
Super early every morning, and I sit there with a Sharpie. That's what I do.
It's all makeup. It's all gear. That's perfect. Love
All
it.
make believe. Yes.
Brilliant. No, tattoo artist would be a cool job. Like that'd be pretty sweet.
I mean, it seems I know as well. It's a tough job. Because it's like long periods of times or long hours, just the same position, and try to and obviously it's a lot of pressure on it as well. So I don't think it's that easy, to be honest. I think a lot of people getting into it, they break down pretty quickly. But I do like the art form.
Yeah.
So
nice.
That would have been cool.
That'd be cool. Again, maybe something for down the line.
I mean, you never know.
Brilliant. The next one is my favorite animal.
I mean, I'm a huge animal fan. I had pets like most of my life.
Nice.
I'd say if you're talking pets, I would say cat.
What if we're talking wider, like any animal, pet or not?
I'd say Wolverines. It's one of my favorites.
Nice. Yeah.
They're absolutely such a cool animal.
Yeah.
I actually have a Wolverine tattooed on one of my thighs, and a lynx on the other side. So
nice.
Kind of my two spirit animals. If you talk about like the wider animal kingdom.
I love that, and I feel like there's a bit of that in Aliss Ink as well. Like there's that ferocity, right?
Like these are very aggressive animals. They're very small, so they have to be. It's kind of that works quite well with Aliss Ink, I'd say. Because I'm very rarely the bigger wrestler. It has happened, I think, once.
Has it?
Yes.
Was that a weird feeling?
That was super weird, honestly. That was to be fair quite early on, but yeah, it was actually with a wrestler called Elena Morgenstjerne, who's Danish. She's the only female wrestler in Denmark.
Oh wow.
So we had a match quite early on in my career. It's like when I still walked out in MMA shorts and before
the look fully took hold.
Aliss Ink, today was created basically.
Yeah.
We did have a match in Bodyslam actually.
Oh really?
Before the pandemic even.
Nice.
So yeah, but yeah, that was a weird feeling. And I don't think it's happened since.
maybe one time.
No, I mean, sooner or later.
It's got to, right? Like the odds of it happening. It's got to happen at some point.
It should do, right? But I did actually look up Marcus Stunt on Wikipedia and realized he was taller than I am, so I'm not going to hold my breath.
Oh. Brilliant. The next one, there's a few wrestling ones here. The next one's a two-parter because it's my favourite wrestling match, and I want to ask you for one you've had and one you've watched.
Oh, okay. One I watched, if I start there, I'd say Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, Halloween Havoc.
Yes, yeah.
You know the year, right? I can't think.
Yeah, was it 99? 98? Something like that.
Late 90s.
Yeah.
Like purple suit and Rey and
everything. Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal match. So that's one I'd go back to quite a lot. Also, actually, the first Ring of Honor show, the triple threat with let's see, it's
I can't remember that.
We have Loki and we have
it's Loki and Bryan Danielson and Christopher Daniels.
There you go. That's the one.
Because that's where I was getting confused. Because I remember Loki, and I was like, was it Danielson or am I thinking of Christopher Daniels? And I couldn't think of which it was, but it was both. So that's why I couldn't remember.
Yes, there you go. Yes, that's the one. That's also like absolutely amazing match.
Yeah, that is a great one. What about your favorite match that you've had so far?
I have. I'd say. I actually think my absolute favorite match would be the one I had against Carlos Zamora at the end of the ScandiGraps tournament.
Nice, yeah.
That was so much emotion going into that match. as well.
Yeah.
Especially where I was in my wrestling career at that moment, everything lead up was a brilliant lead up during that evening, and and also I'm usually very harsh on myself looking back at matches. I'm gonna find every minuscule little thing that could have been better, and I'm gonna go over it over and over and see what can I've done better, how can I. But yeah, no, but that match is I'm actually quite happy with how it turned out.
You should be, and I think as well, like we were talking about earlier, but it seems like that was like the moment that sort of like your year took off, and like your push for like going around Europe really took off as well.
Exactly, and I mean, I walked into that day not knowing if I could do this, and I came out knowing, okay, I can do more than I think. Yeah, that's huge on a personal level as well. I have a lot of things attached to that memory of that match.
Yeah.
Not just the match in itself.
Nice.
Then obviously, I mean, Emerson Jane has been amazing to work with as well. That's also both of the times I'm there has been some of my favorite matches. But it's
you've had a few good ones already.
I'm so happy to work with, to be honest.
Yeah, you've had a few really good ones already, and like plenty more to come now that you've got all the belts as well.
All the belts.
All the belts. Basically every belt. We're not going to rest until you've got every major belt in Europe, like one from each country.
I mean, yeah, I wish that was true. I'm working towards it.
Love it.
There's quite a few, but carrying like the wXw belt and the Bodyslam belt at the same time, that's absolutely amazing.
For sure. Well, the next one goes back to what we were talking about earlier, because it is my dream match, of course, obligatory, right? Everyone asks it, so it's got to be asked.
So many. That's the thing. I'd say if I could work with absolutely anyone in the world, just for pure markout reasons, I would actually love to work with Brian Danielson.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like would have the Scandinavian Dragon versus the American Dragon. That would be so amazing.
I'd love that. And I think that'd be a good contest on whose kicks are actually stiffer as well. Like,
I'd give him a run for the money. I promise you.
Yeah, you would. That's the thing. Like, his chest would be like absolutely covered red by the end of it.
No, but I mean that would obviously be a dream. I think the likelihood of that happening is quite slim, to be honest. Unfortunately.
No, maybe we can hope though. We can hope, right? I think the only reason it wouldn't happen is because companies like that don't often book like male versus female matches, and that's the only reason it wouldn't.
Definitely, exactly, and definitely not when high-profile male wrestlers either. So you never know.
Yeah, you never know. Maybe one day.
Things change as well, to be honest.
Exactly. Like, we don't know how long it'll be with AEW, and after that, you might be like, oh, you know what? I want to go over to Bodyslam in Denmark, and then absolutely kill it over there.
It writes itself, right?
Exactly. Like, that's the natural next step, right?
Yes.
Brilliant. The next one is I'm going to ask for you in person, not on TV, because it's the loudest pop I've ever heard.
Oh, okay. Ooh, that's a tough one, actually. Because when you're in the moment, it's tough sometimes to know which pops are bigger than others. To be honest.
No, for sure.
What would that be? That's a really good question. I mean, because every show obviously has its pop. It's if I take the last time I was in Wrestle Island, for example, like obviously the biggest pop was the first guy walking out of the Rumble, and like nothing could follow that, which is fair.
Yeah,
he deserved that. So every show has its pop, and depending on the audience, it's quite hard to judge sometimes which is the loudest pops.
Yeah.
I think the loudest pop I've got for my when I've actually been in the ring, I'd reckon that'd be in Stockholm, which is obviously starting off home promotion. I don't know if the pop I felt at the time being the loudest one ever. Actually, in my debut in Stockholm Wrestling, I don't think I was the loudest pop.
Right.
But that felt like the loudest
It's
pop.
the one that, hit you.
I mean, basically, what I did was, okay, I walked in, new to the audience, get introduced by one of the veterans in Stockholm as a tag team partner. I walk in, start off the match, and I knock a guy out straight off. Because no one saw that coming.
And that would get a pop. I tell you what, like that would, like that might be the biggest pop you have actually ever heard. Because like,
I mean, that was so unexpected to people, I think. So yeah, that might actually have been.
Like that's a crazy cool moment. I love that. Like that might actually be it. Like you say it might be another one now, but I know that like
I don't know, because I remember that like being like, oh wow, because I wasn't expecting it either. Obviously, I was as shocked as everyone else was. Like, oh shit, this is a good reaction.
Yeah. No, I get that. Like, I know that I'd like pop crazy if like someone walked in on their debut and knocked someone out on their first drink. Like, you'd be like, what?
I was so nervous backstage because it was like, because I realized that this moment is kind of like just gonna make or break the character, right? If an actual fighter walks out in the ring, and this moment does not happen. If anything goes sideways, it misses, or it just doesn't it doesn't connect the way it should. If it looks bad, the entire gimmick falls.
I was going to say, actually, I hadn't thought of that. That's a lot of pressure to go into. Like,
I mean, it's like, okay, this has to work.
Yeah.
There's just no alternative, and obviously it did work. So, and yeah, that basically the entire like home audiences they got into it after that.
Nice.
Is, I even have had announcers saying like the kick heard around the world for a while after that.
Love it. I love it.
Okay, nice.
So much of an impact you made. Yeah, that's crazy cool. I love that. The final wrestling one is my favorite place to wrestle in. Like your favorite venue to wrestle in.
Oh, I'd say at the moment my favorite wrestling or the favorite place to wrestle in would be Pumphuset in Copenhagen, which is Bodyslam's home territory.
Yeah.
That is an absolutely amazing venue. Also for the audience there and like the feeling the place has and like the aura around it. It's a really cool, hip place. So it's all the right attributes. Different. I mean, the venue does mean a lot though, for how I mean, a huge venue for a small audience is bad.
Yeah.
It's just as bad as a small venue is for too much audience. Can also be problematic for another reason, obviously.
Yeah.
So
they've got it right. They've got a good balance.
They have a really good balance, and yeah. So that would be my favorite, I think.
Nice, love it. A couple final ones. The next one is my favorite place in the world.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. If I like take everything into consideration here, right? One of the absolutely coolest places I've ever been when traveling has been Tokyo. It's amazing place. So yeah, I'd probably say Tokyo.
Yeah.
From the places I've been, but I'm not sure I would be able to actually live there for other reasons, for practical reasons. I would love. I mean, that was one of my dreams when I was younger, just going back there and just staying. Didn't happen for reasons, but there's so many beautiful places in the world, though.
Yeah,
I do like a bit of a bus, though. I like the countryside for a short period of time, but I am a city girl.
A little bit of noise and stuff. Yeah, I get that.
It needs to be something happening. It needs to be some kind of place.
Yeah. If you're in the countryside, you're miles away from anything. Like it's just boring, right? Like after a while, you're like, what else is there to do?
I mean, it's amazing for a while. You have like Gotland, for example, outside of Stockholm. It's an island. Amazing place to be with a lot of like old Viking remnants, and it's a really cool place to visit for a while.
But then you want to be back to the hustle and bustle of it. And
exactly. And I mean, you have those places in the UK as well. It's like amazing to visit, but move there, move not.
Yeah, not for me. No, I get it. And the final one is my dream holiday destination.
For a holiday, I would absolutely love to go to Seoul.
Nice.
Place I've never been. That would be really cool to experience that at one point.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I like that. Like, just like Asian culture is just fascinating, just generally. Like, it's so different that like it's just like mind blowing to be in.
It really is, and I mean, obviously I have not been to South Korea, but when traveling and being in Tokyo, for example, you walk down a street and it's like these super modern buildings, and then all of a sudden you have like this little alleyway, and you walk straight into a temple.
Yeah.
Because this city is like built on so many layers, and all of it is still like visible.
Yeah, crazy cool. I love it. I love it. No, that's a good shout. That's a good shout. Well, we've got one final like sort of featurey question, and this is called. We sort of touched on it a little bit throughout this chat, but it's called "What's in a Name," and it's pretty simple. It's what it says on the tin. It's very much, where did the name Aliss Ink come from? And in your mind, what does it take to be Aliss Ink?
Okay, this is a good question. To start with the name, ink is quite self-explanatory.
I figured that, yeah.
There's no real magic in the ink, it's just there. Aliss is actually, Aliss for the specific spelling is taken from a book by Terry Pratchett.
Oh, okay.
It's a very small, the character has a very small part.
Right.
The character is just spoken about in the book. It's not actually in the story.
Okay.
But it's Alice Black, and that's a witch.
Right.
Who grows, it's a good witch, but she grows too powerful, and then eventually she basically does a heel turn.
Right.
And goes mental and super bad.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's...
Is that going to be? That's not going to happen to you, is it though? That's not going to happen to you though.
Oh God, no! Of course not.
Like you'll control the power, you'll contain it, right? That's.
Who knows? Wrestling is wrestling, right?
That'd be great. Actually, I wouldn't mind seeing that. That would be pretty cool. So, what does it take to be Aliss Ink then for you, in your mind?
I mean, I always before going into the wrestling ring, I actually do try to be Aliss, like legit be Aliss in my mindset. And the way I see it, Aliss is there to prove her place in within the fight, her place within the wrestling world. Not being the biggest, possibly not the strongest, trying to use the skills that I have accumulated. Through martial arts and through everything else I've done up to this point, leading up to that moment when I step into the ring. So it's a lot of the same mindset going into a fight in whatever martial arts you choose, or like an MMA fight, or is you there to, regardless of everything else, the mindset needs to be, I'm here to win. Or I'm here to redeem myself towards, I mean, it's obviously that can vary, but you have to have an actual will and some kind of fire to go in with intent of finishing this fight. And I think that's what it takes to be Aliss. You have to be in that space to, you have to want this. You have to want the win. You have to, you have to have that end goal somehow. To I'm gonna be on top of the hill. It doesn't matter who. It doesn't really matter who is opposed to you in the ring. You're going to be the person standing, whatever it takes.
Yeah, I love that.
And obviously, sometimes that doesn't happen, but that has to be the mindset.
No, I love that. And at the moment, it is happening for you, so that's great.
I mean, I've never gone into a wrestling fight without thinking, some part of me thinking I'm going to win this.
Which is great. I love that. Well, Aliss Ink, thank you so much for coming on the Grapple Theory podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I hope you've enjoyed it.
It's been so much fun. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. That means a lot. And we always end each show by giving our guest one final piece of promo time. So, we're nearing Christmas. We're heading into 2023. If next year someone's in Denmark or Sweden and wants to come and see you, or if they're in Germany and want to come and catch you defending your title at wXw, or if you're over here in the UK and our UK fans can come and watch you over here, why is Aliss Ink going to steal the show?
Well, I mean, Aliss Ink is going to steal the show for exactly the reasons that Aliss Ink exists. Because Aliss Ink wants this. She's going to head into... No. Aliss Ink is not going to head to... I'm going to head into the ring. And I'm going to beat any person stepping up against me. I'm going to give it my all each and every time. There's absolutely nothing that's going to stop me from giving it my all. Each and every time, for each and every person in the audience. For every promotion, putting the trust and putting me in the ring is going to get everything Aliss Ink can bring to the table.